This is Beach Talk Radio.
Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all ships at sea. This is your captain speaking, Mean Gene. Mean Gene. The following will be a test of the ship's whistle, the sonar alarm, the cable alarm, and the atomic attack alarm.
Hello, America, and welcome to the #1 radio station in all of Fort Myers Beach. Beach Talk Radio. Here are your hosts, Kim and Ed Ryan.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you all very much. Tom, I pay you to do one thing, to get the crowd all riled up before we go. Thank you all for coming to Wahoo Willie's for a great breakfast on a Sunday. And for those of you that are thinking about next Sunday already, it is Easter, and we will not be having a show because the mayor says if he doesn't take his lovely wife out on the boat, he's getting divorced. So Easter Sunday, there will be no show. What are we doing on Easter Sunday now that we don't have a show, dear?
I don't know. We
Want to go out on the boat? Is that what he said?
That's not a bad idea. I know we will not be doing an Easter egg hunt. Those days are gone. I miss those days, though.
Yes.
But
So
I know.
The first thing I want to say is thank you to everybody who came to Times Square this morning and donated their time. I don't know if you had a chance to see how fabulous the plantings look in Times Square. It went from weeds 1 minute, and 4 hours later, there were plants and trees in Times Square behind the wavy wall. So if you have a chance to go over there, that was 60 volunteers this morning. It was supposed to be 2 days. It turned out to be 1 day. And a funny story to tell you is the Estero Island Garden Club, if it wasn't for them, I mean, we would be planting weeds because I have no idea what a native plant is and what a Florida-friendly plant is. But they organized that they lay out all the plants ahead of time so that everybody knows where to put the plants. And then they deliver the plants from, she told me the name of the location, but I forgot where they have all these plants and they have the trees and the whole thing. And
like a nursery?
And then the volunteers, yeah, something like that. I think that's where they sell plants. But she said it's going to be $5,000 to cover the cost of all these plants. And I was like, holy crap, we've never raised $5,000 before. I mean, back at the beginning, we raised a lot of money, but now, and she's like 5,000. I'm like, oh, okay, we'll give it a try. But I'm thinking to myself, this might not happen. What are we going to do? We raised $8,000 for the plants, which was nice. So I don't know what we gave the whole check to them. And then because we had so many volunteers, Kathy Turner from the Garden Club said, I don't think we're going to have enough shovels and rakes for all the volunteers. So yesterday we put out a call for some money for shovels and rakes, and we raised $1,000 more for the shovels and rakes, which we donated to the Garden Club. So they're going to have extra tools. And Marie, because we had 2 shows yesterday, we sent Marie to the Home Depot to buy all the shovels and rakes with her husband. And listening to the two of them argue about how to buy shovels. Just give me all the shovels and rakes at the Home Depot. Just give them all to me.
Which is, it's a tough thing to go shopping with your spouse and come out without somebody bleeding.
We never
or
go
divorced.
shopping together. This is the only thing we do together.
Tell you what,
I mean, only thing, really.
I was telling Dixie and her family that
so nice
we're
to
coming.
See them all.
I know we're coming up to Wisconsin, and I think the plan is I want to stick with this. Well, no, I'm going to stop by the Ellsworth Creamery. That's one thing. Yeah, see?
What is that? Is that like a coffee shop?
No, it's where they make the cheese curds.
Oh, cheese curds. For some reason.
I'm going to drive and you're going to fly because I like to drive. I like to take my time. I want to be up there and visit everybody, and I don't want to listen to you.
We're not doing it your way.
And you, I'm driving myself.
What we're going to do?
I don't know what you're doing.
We're going to rent an RV.
We're not doing.
We're going to take the dogs with us, and we're going to drive to Ohio, Minnesota, and then Wisconsin. The grand finale has to be Wisconsin.
You can fly up there, and we can drive around those states. I know what's going to happen with the dogs. It's going to fall on me to take care of them and deal with all of it. So while he sits there and takes the photo op with the dogs, like I'm such a great dog dad. Meanwhile, who's got the poop bags? It's going to be me. I'm not doing it.
Greg's walking by like poop bags. This is a restaurant, and she's talking about poop bags. So I take care of the dogs during the day because I work from home.
And what does that entail?
That entails letting our bulldog go out in the back and go do her business. And then the dog comes back in the house and the dog goes back to sleep, because that's what bulldogs do. They sleep and they crap. So yesterday she goes home from the show and she lets the bulldog out. But what she does is she shuts the sliding glass door. So the bulldog comes running in. And for some reason, bulldogs, after they crap, they like to run laps before they go back to sleep, because that's what bulldogs do. They crap and they sleep. So she shuts the sliding glass door and the bulldog goes head first. I mean, no wonder they have flat faces, because parents like this shut the sliding glass door on them.
That did set her back a little bit. But you never walk the dogs. You never take them to the vet,
because I can't figure out how to get the harness around them, and then I'm choking them all of a sudden when we're walking them. But this show isn't about us, dear. So let's get to the heart of the matter here.
He's firing off one more message.
That's right. He's so busy running this town.
He's like, somebody let our dogs out right away.
But leave the sliding glass door open, please.
Don't shut the door.
Ladies and gentlemen, your mayor, the mayor of Fort Myers Beach, Dan Allers. For anybody unaware of what happens on Sunday, we do an interview with the mayor every Sunday here at Wahoo Willie's. We've been doing it since after you got elected, which, geez, how long is that now? Over a year?
Since the storm, essentially.
Wow.
Right, because you were on the council before that, and then now he's checking his messages on his watch. Is everything okay back at the ranch?
Phone was ringing. Tim's got it.
Okay.
From
Tim's got it.
Yeah.
I
heard you talking about the camping. I could give you a little advice.
That's right. Most people on the island can give us advice about camping.
Well, once the house was done, we were able to move back in the house. We wanted to take we wanted to use the camper for what a camper is meant to be used for. So we took it around the country. Essentially, we went out to Colorado and up through and came back around. And I will tell you, knowing you like I know you, Ed, I would definitely not do the pull behind camper. I would do the RV. As much as you have to use the restroom, you just you put the cruise control on. Kim takes over and drives. You go do what you got to do.
Dude, I wasn't thinking about the pull behind in any way.
I don't want to do a pull behind.
Last week, she sent me a picture of a pull behind for like 20,000. She goes, I love it.
No,
it was this big.
First of all, it was 13,000.
No,
yeah, with the little truck.
It's not a Barbie truck. It's a baby truck. What's wrong with you? Barbie truck.
Sorry. That's what we called them back in Minnesota. Barbie truck.
It was a cute it was cute. And it had a bathroom in it. So that was a plus.
No, we're getting an RV, like a resort RV that you can seat 16 people.
Have you been following Keith Wilkins and his trip around the country and his little pull behind?
Is he on Facebook? Keith Wilkins? Yeah, I didn't even know he was on Facebook.
Yeah, he's traveling the country and he's got this little, it's about the size of your table, it looks like.
As an RV.
As his RV that he's pulling behind him. It's like very small footprint. But he's going to all these cool places and updating.
That's what I want to do this summer, but I'm not doing it with you.
She's got a special birthday coming up this summer that she doesn't want anybody to know about.
I would rent an RV and tow the Barbie truck.
There you go.
That's what I do.
There you go.
So
we like that number.
How you wanted to do a
sure?
Yeah. What are we doing this for?
I don't know.
Okay. I thought. All right. I thought we were doing it for a specific reason. Everybody. Thank you. Welcome to Sunday. We're all standing up.
Is that the pickleball win?
We're all standing upright and breathing. That's something to drink to, right?
That's what I said. I said no one's thrown dirt on me yet, so I think it's a good day.
Yeah. So anything that you want to say to the volunteers for Times Square? It was amazing.
Yeah, I went by. I've been running around since about 7 this morning, and every time I wanted to stop, but I was having to get somewhere to do something, and there was a lot of people out there. I mean, I don't know how they were able to move the shovels. There were so many people out there, but thank them all for all their hard work. After we're done here, I'm going to walk up there and take a look at it and see what it looks like. It looks like they were going
amazing.
to town.
I don't ever remember it with plants and looking like it's really beautiful.
It's a nice thing you guys did. It's a nice thing the volunteers did.
They did it. He just stood there and supervised, and I showed up at the last minute to say hello. Yeah. So they did it all. It's amazing
how much, a little bit of color and a little bit of planting. I'm not a green thumb person, so I would have probably cut my thumb off.
The Estero Island Garden Club is amazing.
Yeah,
what they know about native plants and Florida-friendly plants.
And I saw Rose down there.
Rose was down there, and
did you see what they did? They fixed up the area in front of Bay Oaks. The
looks great. Yeah, and Bill Veach's lovely wife was there, and she was on video explaining, like, she knows what this plant is called and what this plant is called and what butterfly is attracted to that plant. And I'm like, wow, it sounds like you got a degree in some kind of
botany.
That's one area that I'm very uneducated in. I know perennial peanut. That's what I know.
Is that a plant or is that a food?
That's the to me, it looks like a weed with all the yellow flowers on it that are kind of growing wild everywhere. That's the perennial peanut.
So thank you to everybody. And it would be nice if there's other areas on Fort Myers Beach where that was a loud sneeze.
And that's not
They
because
heard
we're
that
getting married.
across
Wow.
the internet.
It came right across the microphone. These are our friends that are on their fourth marriage.
Friday, I know.
Yeah, he's on his fourth marriage, and they have 3 kids each.
Yes.
They have 2 girls and a boy, and 2 boys and a girl. So it's literally the Brady Bunch coming together right here.
This is the non-John McClane.
This is not John McClane, who for some reason thought I was talking about him now they're getting married on Friday at Snug Harbor. So if anyone wants to, if anyone
getting married on Good Friday,
if anyone wants to crash the wedding, wear your yellow shirt. So you're in the picture with your yellow shirt
Did he
on.
say something about open bar too or something?
He did say open bar.
He's shaking his head violently. No.
So if there's other areas, I don't know how much public space there is like that we can gather people together to beautify the beach. People love to do that.
No kidding.
You come up with different projects and you never know. But that was one they latched on to big time.
Well, Andy and I have been talking about it over the last couple of weeks. Is now the time to really get started? Does it make sense to start doing a sterile boulevard? Because we got the money from the county to maintain a sterile boulevard. Does it make sense to now start doing a sterile boulevard between the sidewalk and the curb, the areas that you can do it? I think it's a great time, especially so many people want to help.
And are you talking about? Go ahead.
Well, let me ask when they do the lights, are they going to have to?
No, that's on the other side.
Okay.
That's on the back side of the curb.
Okay.
So you're talking about the
back
entire
side of the sidewalk. So
the entire island, not just from Times Square to Bowditch.
The entire island, yes,
is what the responsibility of the town
yes.
is. Yeah. So would you put plants there, or just what would you do? Just figure it out.
I think you figure. I think you use the experts that
the garden club.
The garden club would know what to do, and I see things that personally, this is just my personal belief. I would like to see things that or maybe knee high, something that would help encourage people from just walking out onto a sterile boulevard anywhere. Something that looks nice, it's colorful. One thing we learned after the storm was those signs that people put up. People loved them.
Yes.
They were colorful. They were unique. Why can't we do that with plantings? Why can't we do
something that doesn't require a ton of maintenance and just sort of is there?
Yeah, I look at it as a lot of people. I was just talking about this with Councilor Woodson the other day at the Mound House, and we were at that event the other night. And
did you go to Artful?
Yeah,
Artful, how was it?
It was great. It was. I mean, the rain kind of held people away, I think, but it was a good turnout. Raised a lot of money. I don't know exactly what they raised, but every council member, including former council member Veach, put in an experience that people could bid on. That they'll get to do something with each individual council member. So those did really well. What was yours? We did a golf cart. So we're going to do a tour. A toured golf cart. So I'm going to drive people around and give a tour of town hall. I haven't told Andy yet, but we're going to give a little tour of town hall.
We got to do that again. Now we did the golf tour, the golf cart tour. That would be
that was with
oh my God,
Fleming.
Jan Fleming. Yeah, Jan Fleming.
Yeah, she's brilliant at that.
Oh, she knows.
Folks, talking about donations, when I ask you to stop donating, will you please stop donating? I'm still getting donations for the shovels and the rakes. Stop donating. I've already bought the shovels and the rakes. Don't make me send your money back.
I will say that
they're going to be needed for
they have an idea of something that they need down there, so they're going to be talking to you about it.
So, all right. So in talking with Councilor Woodson, she said something that sparked my
brain cells.
My brain cells. Yeah. She's now learning the streets, because before it was always you turn at the pagodas on Hibiscus. You didn't know the streets, and now that all of that's gone, is that something that we can recreate through the plantings? People could say you turn at the perennial peanut, because that's
good idea.
Something that you could make each area a little bit unique to
sort of like the Monopoly game that they have the different color.
Wouldn't that be fun?
That would be a lot of fun.
And people would love to get involved in that.
The garden club's probably watching, going, "Shut up."
They're such a great. It's such a great group of people, and they know so much about that stuff.
They're detail oriented too. They really do a lot of research and planning.
So one of the questions that somebody had in the audience before you got here was, what do you know, or what can you update the community on the pool?
Well, it still hasn't been obligated from FEMA. So we had
What?
to get, well, we had to give them some bids. So I think we've done that. We're just waiting for them. We've done a lot of cleanup. If you notice, a lot of the trees that were there and a lot of the cleanup's been done around there. Now it's just a matter of getting them to do another inspection. I think they've got to come back and do another inspection. So as soon as we can get them to obligate it, as you guys well know, and I've said it many, many times, people are tired of hearing it, until they obligate it, until they say they're going to
I don't think
pay
anybody
for it.
knows what that means.
Yeah.
Obligated. What does that mean?
That means that FEMA has to come in and take a look at something that's been destroyed from the hurricane. They have to assess it. They have to put a dollar amount to it. Once they do that, then they do what's called obligation. Then they say, yes, we agree it's been damaged. This is how much we'll be able to give you. Then you could start on the project. You can't start on the project. Well, you can, but you would not get any FEMA
You're
reimbursement
risking,
to do it.
yeah.
Well, you would not get any.
You wouldn't
period.
get it.
So the
They-
pool would be open if it wasn't for FEMA, or you wouldn't have the money,
Wow.
or it wouldn't be because you don't have the money.
Well, no, that we don't have disposable income to just go throw into the pool and get
Yeah.
it started and not, and not get the help that we need from FEMA to be able
Is
to do
there
it.
going to be a slide in the new pool or no?
We sure hope so, but
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it has the covered. Didn't it have something?
it
there
did,
before?
it had a small slide. It
Yeah.
Did somebody say there was going to be a bar there, or is that a rumor?
Oh,
it could be a rumor. I don't know.
Somebody suggested that.
There's really been no.
I think it was John King who suggested that. If he's going to go swimming in the pool, there's got to
Well,
be a
I think-
bar
I
close
think if
by.
you're going to do it, I think
That's
it's
for
important to
kids.
make it a destination where people come
Yeah.
and they can bring their entire family, whether they have a bulldog, whether they have kids. It's
that
something
bulldog's not going down that slide. I can tell you that.
No, but I
She'll
mean, I
sink
think
like
there's
a
an
stone.
opportunity to be able to.
Mhm.
There's space there and land that you could maybe create a separate dog park splash pad.
Oh,
for the
let's not
dogs
talk
within.
about a dog park. We had a
No.
bed.
Something that you could, if you come with your family, whether you're
Yeah.
from Florida, or you come down most
So-
Maybe a
people
little
like to travel,
picnic area.
and we are a dog friendly island. I mean,
Yes,
yeah,
you are.
So why not have a place for the dogs to go off
So,
too?
so
That's just an
if
idea.
you were to pick a date of when the pool will open, what date would you pick?
Oh my Lord, how's he going to do
There,
that?
when I ask somebody else a question,
know,
why do you
but-
always have to answer
I
it
don't-
first?
I'm
Because you're
not
trying to
answering it.
lead,
I'm saying
but you're
it's,
trying
like,
to
so
lead them in a
hard.
certain
She's
way,
leading the witness.
right? Please let the. I
start
don't
saying you
interrupt your
object.
questions. I don't.
Right.
Go ahead. I'm getting.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
When is the pool opening?
It's not going to be this year. I can tell you that.
It's not going to be in 2024.
No.
Wow, that's crazy. Why does FEMA suck so much?
I wouldn't say. I mean,
You can't say
if it
it.
wasn't for FEMA, we would. FEMA has flaws for sure, but I wouldn't say they suck. If it wasn't for them, if it wasn't with the funding that we received from them,
How much?
think about if we wouldn't have got that almost $8 million from them emergency funding right after the storm, where they just gave the town a check for almost $8 million, we'd have been underwater in Adalia again. Adalia would have flooded the
Yeah.
island again.
All right. Well, $8 million, Dan. You're making it sound like it's a lot of money. I mean, we're talking about the
Well,
federal
how much
At the
government
time,
here.
it was a lot of money. It
Yeah.
still
Do you
is a
have
lot
an
of money.
idea
town,
how
it's a lot
much?
of
I don't
money.
know how many T-shirts you're selling, but $8 million is a
No
lot of money.
kidding.
We're not
Do you
selling
have
that
any
many
idea how
t-shirts.
much the town has gotten from FEMA, or I wonder, folks in town, because I know people. You hear we haven't gotten money, but every once in a while you do hear people say, "I actually got a full amount," or they were happy with what they got. So,
Yeah,
any
it's
idea?
been kind of a mix back and forth of people that didn't have any issues and it was a smooth process, and then you've obviously heard about the nightmares.
Right.
Right now the town and everybody, for the fact, is waiting for the budget to get done at the federal level. Until the stuff gets funded, it's really hard to obligate projects and send money down to the people that need it. So until they get a budget done, we're kind of in limbo.
So would you just have people not deal with FEMA then?
I
Just
don't
say,
know. I
"Oh,
just
go
feel-
away. We don't want anything.
No.
We're just going to self-insure and
I think
take
you
our
keep
risk."
turning your mic.
Is that what
I
what
just-
you would
That's
opt
my
for?
mic. I don't want any feedback, but I
Oh.
know I want to make sure Dixie and her group can hear us, and she said she couldn't hear. So the mayor.
Can't hear the mayor.
Okay,
All right.
good.
Oh,
All
I
right,
can talk louder.
good.
that
Then
better?
I could turn mine down.
I don't want to
Yeah.
yell. I don't know if I'm yelling in there.
I just want
Yeah.
to.
Usually I'm told to be quiet, not.
Yeah,
So
it's
no,
easy.
I just think that the federal government could do a quicker, faster job because I mean, it's total devastation down here, and they have the capability more than any other. Obviously, the town didn't have the capability at the beginning because the town was devastated, and the state. I think the state did a good job. I think the state came in and did a great job, but. Every time you turn around, FEMA was changing personnel and they were, there was another person to deal with. I mean, the Art Association is going through the same thing. 19, 20 months later, they're waiting for FEMA to tell them whether or not they're going to get any money. It just seems absurd this many months away. We're not talking about 2 months after the storm. We're talking about 20.
Well, I will only speak personally. If there's one thing that I've learned from this storm is to never rely on FEMA for anything. And this is, to expect FEMA to come in and do something quick is not going to happen. Never has happened, probably never is going to happen. What they do is very helpful. You don't want to, do we wish it could be quicker? Yes. But I couldn't imagine if we were still waiting around for a FEMA trailer instead of just going out and buying one.
Yeah, a whole different debacle right there with the trailers.
It would be a mess. So
do you want me to switch mics with him? Mine seems louder. Well, the other thing too is, he gives, but he also gives equal hard time to this group too, is just people's insurance companies, which they should act quicker.
We certainly have an insurance issue in the state of Florida. That's for sure.
What is your idea to fix that, Dan?
Well, I will tell you,
he's going to run for governor.
Yeah, right. I will. Breaking news. Yeah. There, you heard it there first. Yeah,
governor. Yeah. Oh, look at that.
Governor
Holy Christmas.
There's a whole groundswell here
or something. No, Spencer Roach, Representative Roach, is working on something. I think he's got a very good idea. I don't know all the details, but I would suggest reaching out to him. I know he tried to get it off the ground this year.
That's a good idea.
And started a plan that basically involves people paying into a state program that the state regulates and disperses it out. So I don't know how far exactly that made it in this legislative session, but I know he's pushing very hard on it because, as you know, he was out of his home. He lost his home too, and so he completely understands what everybody's going through. Just like Senate President Pasadomo, Adam Botana, everybody had damage to their house, so they completely understand what everyone's going through, and they understand the challenges that we're all dealing with when it comes to insurance, whether it be cars, boats, houses, whatever. We're all going through the same issue. The town's going through it as well. Yeah,
I know Adam Botana has taken a couple of arrows for different ideas that he's tried to, like merging the fire district and merging the mosquito district and the whole Estero Otsego Bay thing. But he really delivered some bucks to the town of Fort Myers Beach. Not by himself, but he was really a strong proponent for Fort Myers Beach.
He's always had an open ear. Both he and Senator Martin and Senate President Pasadomo have always had an open ear. Every time we've gone up there, which has been several times, just telling our story, trying to give them an update. And our whole, from the very beginning, our whole point was, believe in us. If you invest in us, we won't let you down. And I don't think we have done that. I think we've held up our end of the bargain. We continue to hold up our end of the bargain. We try to go above and beyond. We want to be innovative. We want to be the first at doing things. We want to be the trendsetters. We want people to look and say, they did it this way. Now you can always do things better. Nobody's perfect, but we try to do the best that we can, and hopefully it'll be a learning experience for, unfortunately, the next person that will eventually have to go through this could look and say, this is what they did. Right. This is what we could take from that and how we can implement it and make it even better.
Yeah. You're kind of, every day you're setting precedents for what to do. This area got a lot of information from the folks in North, Florida when they went through Michael and the troubles and tribulations that they went through. So each group, you hope, learns more and more how to navigate horrible. What are you doing?
Well, you look at what the state came in this time, and they came in and took over the debris cleanup. That alone is a major task.
We saw those black trucks.
Oh,
my gosh. We thought they were never going to go away. Yeah. And then one day they were gone.
Yep.
But when you talk to them, it was interesting. These guys, they do this for a living. They've been through several storms. They've seen the worst of the worst. They've seen the best of the best. And when you talk to them, they're like, we have never seen something so devastating get cleaned up so fast. And I think it's because the state came in and said, we got this. We've got one person for these people to answer to. They directed the whole thing from the governor's office, Director Guthrie, all the way down. They came in and took that over in 8 months to see how cleaned up it got so fast. They said they've never been, I've talked to probably 5 or 6 of them. They had never been in a storm where something that devastating had got cleaned up that fast.
So let's talk about where you feel like the rebuild or the knockdown. Is that one of your carts?
No, it's noisy. It's a gas one.
Yeah. Okay. Their difference?
That's yours. Electric, you don't hear anything.
I see.
They still can't hear me. All right, I got to talk louder.
I don't know what we can do without getting feedback. So we're just going to have to.
Oh, welcome. Get close.
Yeah.
You may regret that decision, but welcome closer.
You just never know
You're
how
gonna
many
have to
people are
get
going to show up.
another,
Sometimes people show up and they don't want to hear anything
Right,
we have
right,
to say. So
right.
we're just a dinky podcast, so we have no idea how to operate any of this mechanism. Oh, thank you very much. Would you like to come on the show? And okay, so there, you go down Estero Boulevard, and there are still buildings that haven't been touched. We talked when Frankie was here. We talked about this building on the corner here, the gateway to Times Square, where you had to put a fence around. Not you personally, but the town had to put a fence around it. Are we getting closer to where the town goes and knocks down buildings?
I think we're definitely getting closer. Joe is going out and looking at these and making his determinations, and we're every day we're getting closer. Sooner than later, hopefully some people have decided to take action, have actually got permits they've pulled. I don't have the list in front of me, but I know some people have been paying attention to what's kind of coming down the pipeline and have gone out and got demolition permits and are starting that process. And that's all we're asking people to do is try to make some progress. If not for the benefit of you and your own private property, but the people on either side of you that have done a lot of work, that are trying to do the best thing for themselves and their neighbors. I mean, there's still refrigerators that people are pulling out that have food in them since the storm. It's not healthy. It's not safe. And it's just not being a good person if you're not.
So I went down Fairweather for my walk around on Saturday, and you go down Fairweather. Okay, Homebound is building a house here. There's an empty lot here. And then, oh, wait, this home has never been touched. And then the next one is, they're building a house here. This house is fine because it was built to code. And then, oh, wait, this house hasn't been touched. And you can tell that story on every street on Fort Myers Beach.
Every street.
And so, I mean, it's how do you get your arms around that?
You just keep plugging away. I mean, you just keep being that squeaky wheel. You keep pushing and you keep pushing. We certainly can't force anybody to build something but we can make you clean up your property, and we can make you have it so that you're not
It's
being
safe.
it's safe.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah, whether it's a pool, whether it's, I mean, there's kids running around. There's people that are just cutting through properties. There's people doing things they shouldn't be
bulldogs going
doing.
around. I don't want it to fall in the pool. When you talk about getting your arms around it, how big is it? How many?
Well, there's probably more than
what's on the list.
Than what's on the list. Yeah. I
Okay.
mean, and
So
it's
north
not just
of
that.
52?
I think so, but some are worse than others. Obviously, some haven't been touched since the day of the storm. Some have at least got knocked down, and there's a pile there. We're dealing with a lot of that. We're dealing with a lot of people that just don't want to do anything. They're putting their property up for sale, and they're going to try to sell it the way it is. So we're taking every legal action.
Now that won't
work.
work, right? If the town has a lien on it, or
No, they'd have to pay off the lien
first.
Yeah.
But what if
We
they're
hope-
in the
I
process
certainly
of
hope we
it?
don't get to that point. I really do. I
Yeah.
hope we don't get to that point, but it's inevitable. I think we're going to have to. This is, as I've been saying for a year, this is the uncomfortable part of the job where you have to do things that you don't want to do. But if people aren't choosing to do the right thing and they're not, I mean, we're trying to give people ample time, ample warning, and I think we've done that.
Well, the other side of it too is there's a lot of residents on Fort Myers Beach that send me an email and say, "Hey, I don't want my name out there, but I'm on this street and my neighbor's not doing shit to clean up their yard or whatever, or something." Sorry about that, and and they just want somebody. They want their street back to the way it was, and
Right.
so I mean, it's got to be hard to figure out where to start.
Well, you got to start somewhere, right? and we've had a lot of transition, right, over the last year and a half. We've had a lot of people. So I think our attorneys are doing a great job of getting caught up to things. It's a lot to catch up on to come
Right.
into the middle of something like that. And I think they've done an excellent job so far of getting caught up. I'm one council member. There's 4 other council members that have other things that they want to do. So with both Andy, Frankie, and the attorney, it's not just one person saying something. There's 5 of us that all have, because we all talk to different people, but we all talk to the same
Right.
people, and we all have things that you notice. Not everybody notices everything. So there's a lot of information from them to process, and the fact that they've been able to do it and they're moving us forward on some very crucial things.
Yeah.
I can't say enough about it.
Talk about the come to Jesus that we're going to have on this island when everybody gets discovered that did work without a permit, because there's a lot. Again, they share stuff, but they don't want their name to be out there because they don't want to make it look like they're ratting on a
tattletaling.
neighbor.
Yeah.
But
Right.
they feel like, hey, I went through it was a painful process back in the beginning. I don't think anybody can deny that.
I think
but
we've
they
been
went
saying it
through
since the
that.
beginning. It's not a matter of if you're going to get caught. You're going to get caught. FEMA's not. Their job is to find people doing things that they're not supposed to do, and
But
they're going to
FEMA
find
will
them.
find you, and the town is the one that has to come down on
We
you.
have to make you come into compliance. We have to make you get a permit, get it inspected, do the things that you should have done from the beginning. So you're just making it harder on yourself
Yeah.
to go backwards. And now if you did something that doesn't pass code, now you got to redo it.
Yeah.
Or you don't
But
get
you know,
flood
I mean,
insurance.
there has to be people that were like, I got to do something now, like back in the day, like they had
Sure,
to do something to
and we all
get into their
understand that
house
it
or
was
fix their thing.
right after the storm. Permitting was difficult, right?
Yeah.
To say the least. It was
So is there going to
difficult.
be a little bit of not, you know,
Why should there
leniency
be?
or understanding?
There's zero lenience that we can give. We can work with them to try to get them a permit if they did it without, but it still has to be inspected. It still has to meet the Florida building code. So if you did things that you shouldn't be doing, you know, just think of the fire. You talk to
So
some
they'll
of these,
have to
you talk
redo
talking to some of the fire chiefs around the state. The biggest thing that they find after a storm, and this is them telling me this, are electrical fires for people that did things that they weren't supposed to do. After they've rebuilt their house, they get these electrical fires because they wanted to beat the system or they thought they were beating the system.
Yeah.
And the last thing we want is someone to get seriously injured or killed over something over a permit, over something like that. And you saw at the last council meeting,
Yes.
someone tried to do something without a
Let
permit.
me recap that before. There was a homeowner who was in, her and her mom got in this fine situation from one of them started in 2018.
Yeah.
The other started in 2020. And she racked up fines that were over $300,000. And there are other fines coming up that are $300,000.
It's a very expensive thing. Yes.
And she came to the council last week and asked for leniency. And the council was like, well, you didn't come to this meeting. You didn't come to that meeting. You didn't go to the magistrate. And you guys dropped the hammer down on them. And she has to pay every single penny that of those fines because they didn't get involved in the process is the way you guys kind of made it seem like, we're not going to give you any leniency because there were steps along the way where you could have. And now she was asking for a 100% reduction which would have set a totally awful precedent if you said, okay, we feel bad for you. We're going to let it go because you did all this work without a permit.
Well, that's the biggest thing. You had people, if you have opportunities, the magistrate is the one that set the fines. They're the ones that say you owe this much. It's not the council. You owe this much. Now there's a process that you could go through after all of that goes through, and you can ask for leniency or you can ask for a reduction, which is what she did. But just reviewing all the documentations and asking the questions, they didn't attend any magistrate meeting. They didn't go to anything. It was, and the only argument that I heard was, well, financial. Well, there isn't a person on this island that isn't struggling financially or had some impact financially from COVID and from the hurricane following that. So, but you have to take care. You have to have a permit to redo your roof. You have to have a permit,
even to repair it.
Whether it's a repair or a re-roof, it doesn't matter. And then to say you're not renting it an Airbnb, and then the next one is about renting it.
The town certainly had.
It was
all
not,
their ducks in a row on that one.
I can tell you, I can't speak for my fellow council members, but for me sitting up there, I don't like doing that. It's a hard decision to do, but I think it was the right decision.
Now,
I think it was the thing that had to be done.
I totally agree with you on that. Now on that piece of property, the town is foreclosing on it. That continues as she pays.
It's up for sale right now.
But you can't sell it while you're in foreclosure, right? I mean, you got a lien on it.
Yeah. Well, the lien would have to get paid off. It depends because there's a loan on it. I was trying to talk to the attorneys about it. The bank obviously is the number one person that gets paid off first, and then everything else subsequent to that. But I think the property's for sale. They said for like 1.5 million or something right now. Yeah. So if it sells, the liens have to be paid off before the new person.
So and if there's a mortgage on it, that too.
That gets paid off first.
Wow. There's not going to be much left.
And I think there was a $300 and some $1,000 mortgage still on it is what.
So the moral of that story, as I wrote in my news story, is if you're going to do work, you might want to get a permit because that is a painful way to go through the process. You think you got away with it, and at the end of the day, you didn't get away with anything.
And look forward. Let's say you did something without a permit. FEMA knows you did something without a permit. It's not hard, especially if you're renting it. You list your property for sale and they pull up your address and it doesn't show any remodel permits. obviously you did things without a permit. It's not hard to figure out.
Right.
And now you get put on the list. If you don't come into compliance and get the permits and get it inspected like it's supposed to and bring it up to if you ever go to sell that,
Right.
that new property owner is not going to be able to get flood insurance.
But in that case, it had nothing to do with FEMA. They were breaking the
Had nothing
rules
to do
from
with FEMA.
2018. So there was, and if anyone has any questions for the mayor, we don't know
So
everything.
if
But
somebody did something like in the moment, and now they're like, can they just come forward and fix it?
Well, and some have. They come forward, they get a permit for
I
the
think
work
the
that
town
they
is
did.
very,
And the
And the
town
town
goes
would
out and
be-
inspects
okay.
it. Yes, they pay their permit fee. They get it inspected. If it meets the
They're
inspection,
not going to get
then
flogged,
they come.
publicly flogged.
Now they're coming back into compliance. It's
Right.
that's what it's all about.
Because
you
what
wanna
you
make
want
sure-
is
you wanna make-
compliance.
Well,
You don't
well,
want,
compliance and safe. You
Right.
want
Yeah.
you want a
let's,
safe.
I know you have a question and I have a question here, but I'll forget my question. So I'm going to, when
It's your show, Ed.
when you said
It's
the
your
word,
show.
when you said the word, you won't forget your question. When you said the word come into compliance. So the Mr. Tequila parking lot guy came into compliance. He came in and he wrote a check for 180,000. I thought the fine was 220.
188,000.
I thought it was 220. Anyway, he wrote a check. The guy can write a check for $188,000 for his illegal parking lot, according to the town. And so that means that he paid off previous fines. He's not in compliance. The next day after he writes the check, he starts re-renting his illegal parking lot. I mean, how does he get away with that? It's just his cost of doing business.
Well, it's certainly frustrating, and all he has to do is come in and ask for the special exception to get the use. Doesn't mean he's going to get it, but that's the process he has to go through. As you said, he's back in non-compliance, and if you watch the meeting, I think you heard from every council member that we don't want this to be a repetition thing. So we've asked the attorney to look into every legal possible way of things that we can do to make sure this cycle doesn't continue.
And he is in foreclosure also. You have a lien on his property, or
Not
did
anymore.
you drop?
That was paid off. That's what he paid off.
Oh, okay.
So he paid the lien amount for the.
Listen, if I was him, I would be doing the same. I mean, why wouldn't you do
no,
what he's
you
doing?
wouldn't.
Why wouldn't you? I mean, I'm not. I don't break the rules, but why would he change?
You can't always pick your neighbor, Ed.
What does that mean?
You buy a house, you can't pick who lives on either side of
But
you.
but
can't
you're
pick your neighbor.
the government.
Doesn't
You
mean
can't
you
make
can
big
go take
bad
someone.
government.
You can't go
rules.
take someone's property. Or I mean,
Oh,
we,
so
we've-
at
we've-
what
we've
point do you put
instructed
another
him-
lien on him? How far do you wait?
The magistrate does all. The magistrate
Yeah.
sets the fine. So
All right.
it-
Just, and I'm not picking on him for picking on him. It's not fair to the people that run a
100%.
legitimate business that
100%.
he's allowed to do it illegally.
100%. Nobody's disagreeing with you.
That's all.
Legally, people have property rights, and you can't just
Yeah.
go in and take it from them. So
is it that the fines are just not high enough to sort of
I have no idea.
corral that compliance?
I have no idea why he chooses not to come in for the special exception. I can't speak to that.
Well, if it was a
this is
couple million.
I don't know what the
Probably
history of the
do it.
post
I
office
don't operate
parking
a
lot is,
so I
but
don't know how much.
but
money
he
they
rents spots from the post office parking lot, like he owns the parking lot at the post office.
Unless they
It's not
It's not
federal
federal
property.
property,
It's
yeah.
Unless
the post
they-
office rents it from a property owner.
so
So,
unless they got the permission
unless they're in
from
cahoots, they're all in cahoots.
That
Oh, here
property
we go
owner
with the
has
cahoots.
to.
What is your question,
Grant.
ma'am?
Yes,
Yes.
go ahead.
I'll have to repeat it if you're not going to be on the mic, though. We need the.
Okay.
Well, no, we need the audience to hear it. I mean, this is my show, lady. Hey, we got to do it my way.
Most of the people avoid getting permits because it goes on your house value and it jacks you up so high. I mean, that's typically you put in all new windows, they've just increased the value of your house 50,000. Is there any kind of break for the people here in Fort Myers that have had their house devaluated in half and then get their permits? Are they going to get socked with taxes afterwards for having gotten a permit? Does that make sense to you?
Yes. Well, it's kind of a two thing. So did everybody hear you? Everybody heard
Yeah.
that too? Okay. So yes, getting a permit. Yes, yeah, but not getting a permit for that reason to me doesn't make a lot of sense, just because you're kind of shooting yourself a foot in the back end. If you look at some of the people that have done the renovations on their houses over the past 15, 20 years that didn't pull a permit, they're the ones that suffered under the 50% rule because there was nothing there showing that there was substantial improvements done with inside their house. So when they look at their house and the property value was just the property alone, or the structure alone was 160,000, but they've put $300,000 worth of renovations in it that nobody knew about.
And that didn't count.
And that
towards the-
didn't count, but their neighbor did. And now their neighbor was able to save their house under the 50% rule, but they couldn't because of that evaluation. That's where not pulling the permit. But, well, I think it's important, and we say this a lot, and I don't think a lot of people understand that 6% of your actual tax that you pay goes to the town of Fort Myers Beach. That's it, 6%. So that's not a whole lot at the end of the day. When you look at your trim notice, 6%. I mean, you have the library, you've got the school board, you've got the fire district, you've got Lee County. All of these things are far higher than what you're paying actually to the town. But to your point, yes, if you get something that shows that your structure has been improved, your taxes will go up based on that value. And I think the property appraiser was walking around the last couple months getting their evaluation of what you were going to see. I think it's June, sometime in June, right around there. We'll see a preliminary number that comes out from what they found going street to street. They've done that, yeah. No, I could tell you, Matt Caldwell in his office, they want to do the best job that they can. They want to look at a structure, and I don't want to put words in Matt Caldwell's mouth, but essentially what they're looking at is it a habitable structure? Is it something, they look at it as something that is going to be used for it. I think they use the words, if it's something that is used for its intended purpose at the time of the beginning of the year, then it would go on the tax roll. If it's not, then it doesn't, or a percentage of it. Again, I'm not a tax appraiser, so I can't really speak, but just in talking with Mr. Caldwell and his staff, that's kind of what they're looking at doing. And I know they've been out and they've looked at the island, and hopefully in the next couple months, we'll get to see a preliminary as to where we're at versus last year.
I'm going to ask this question. The question from the audience.
What's the other question?
So it says, please ask Mayor Dan to talk about available Lee Cares funding.
So every Friday, they're in our office, and apparently not a lot of people are coming in to take advantage of talking to them. So I was talking to former council member Veach just the other day about it, and he went in there to talk to him and find out there's a lot of programs out there through Lee Cares that you can apply for. Not everybody's going to be approved, obviously, but to get the information, I would be lying if I told you I understood every single program that's out there, because I do not. But they do have someone that's coming into our town hall complex, if you will, every Friday.
At what time?
I believe it's the normal business hours. So
Okay.
say
The whole day?
The whole day, yeah.
Albert said, I think he maybe was referring to this question here, that it was a great question
on.
from Matt Caldwell.
Yeah.
What's that?
So-
yeah, it is a great
That's
question
what
for
he
Matt
was saying.
Caldwell.
Yeah, and he's very personable and gets back to
he-
people all the time.
if you have a specific question about reach out to Matt Caldwell's office. They're very good at getting back to people and looking at your individual thing, and you can always challenge it. I mean, if you don't like the evaluation they give you, you can always challenge it. And they are great with working with
Yes.
people. Matt and his
Yes.
team are excellent.
He's been on the show several times, and he's excellent with getting back to people too. So that's me. So the other question I wanted to ask again, as I do every week, is when will the lights be on Estero Boulevard?
Well, they're on every day, but
When
just
will
can't
all
see
of
them.
them be on?
no, we talked about it a little bit last week. We had the kickoff meeting with FPL and the people doing the work. They have started staging, as far as I understand, on the south end of the island. They're looking to start. They're waiting for the permit from the county to be able to get going. So once they get that permit, then they can get started with the underground work. They'll be doing it in 3 segments, starting from the south end, working north. Once those 3 segments are done, then they will go to the side streets and start doing the side streets. So
in other words, no update.
When they
they have not started putting piping under the ground yet.
when they start, are they going to be working during the day?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the understanding.
Okay.
And
Because
they
in May,
wanna get-
they
they wanna-
can't be working
They
at
want to
night.
get it. They want to get it done. As trust me, they're eager to get it
Yeah.
done as much as we are.
So from what I understand, and I remembered this when I was standing in Times Square talking to the folks that were volunteering. They were looking at the pier, and they said to me, when is the pier going to be rebuilt?
Oh.
And I tried to explain to them the process of how many years and the permitting. And the next meeting, I believe, is when the county approves the design company for the pier.
Mhm.
And then it starts from there, the process of 3-4 years before a pier gets rebuilt. Have you heard anything different from the commissioner or anybody?
I have not. I've heard the same thing most people have heard. Building back what was there is obviously the most expeditious thing to do.
Yes.
Maybe widening it would be second, and then doing something much bigger is obviously going to take longer because you got DP involved, you got all these other agencies that you have to go through to be able to increase something like that. So I don't know where they're going to go with it. Everybody knows what I know as far as a pier.
And what's amazing, though, is whether there's a pier there or not, people flock to Fort Myers Beach. And even to me, more important, this is just my opinion, which means nothing. I don't live on the beach. I don't have an opinion as important as people like you. But when that sand comes on that beach and the beach is re-nourished the way it's going to be by this time next year, maybe,
Hopefully.
it's going to be unbelievable,
Yeah.
pier or no pier. And people come to the beach now.
They are, but I'm with everyone else. I think having the pier rebuilt is very important. There's a reason it was the #1 visited tourist
I don't
attraction.
even know if I don't know where those stats came from.
Well, somebody's
Somebody
keeping
made them
the
up.
stats. Somebody's
Pier
keeping the
hater.
stats. Somebody's keeping those stats. So it's an important thing. It's an iconic thing that's part of Fort Myers Beach's fabric. I think having it back is very important. Yes, to your point, people are still coming. Obviously, we still get an email about traffic and people, the businesses you look, they're all full. They're all thriving. They're all having a good season, which I don't know that anybody quite honestly expected to see as busy as we are. We're getting a lot of people that are still coming down for spring break, a lot of day trippers coming in. Yesterday, this weekend, Saturday, with the weather, you could drive off the island without ever stopping. So the weather played a little bit of a role on that. But I think everyone I've talked to was kind of excited for a little bit of a break, especially the people working in the service industry to have a little bit of a time to catch their breath and start back up.
Busy. Yeah, it's been busy for the businesses that are
we certainly have
open,
been thankful for people to come down and enjoy the beach. And for me, it's really fun to see how they've spread out. You don't go by a beach access on the island that doesn't have cars in it, and most are full. So people are enjoying not just Times Square, they're enjoying the full length of the beach and spreading people out. So I think that's a positive thing that we can build on as we start to build things back, like Newton Park and other things, offer amenities for people throughout the island so that they will spread out. That will help alleviate some of the traffic. You can get people that can come on from the south end that don't have to drive all the way to the north end to have the services, whether it be restrooms or a place to eat, have a cocktail or whatever, shop, whatever. I think when you do that, it all kind of plays together.
Speaking of the beach access, we had a little to-do on our Facebook page about the bucket thing, the bucket gate. And
wait a minute, I heard that from somewhere.
Was it? I think these guys, you said it. Bucket gate. So I just we came up with Jason Garrison, I think he works for SCCF on Sanibel, showed us pictures of these buckets that you have on the posts. And I thought it was a great idea. And the people on our page thought it was a great idea. But there was never, and I shared it with you, and I shared it with Frankie, and I shared it with Andy, and nobody said they would do it. Nobody said they wouldn't do it. Karen thought it was a great idea. Jim thought it was a great idea. So we did it. And I don't want the town to think there's any pressure. We delivered it to Frankie. Frankie took them. If the town decides to put them up, that's fine. If the town decides not to because the buckets will get stolen or whatever, that's fine too. It was just one of those things where people felt like they wanted to do something and they did it and they thought it was cool. But that's one of those things that I don't know why it got this one guy's panties in a bunch, but he was like,
okay,
if what happens if they don't put them up? Are you going to badmouth the town? And it was a colossal waste of time. Well, why does he care if it was I was the one who did it. I was the one that bought the product. I put it together and I delivered it. So why does he care about whether it's my waste of time? There's no pressure on, I haven't badmouthed the town since you became the mayor, right? I mean, honestly, I ask questions. Are you guys being serious?
No, they're just laughing.
Uh-oh, he's getting upset now.
I mean, compared to the previous, all right? Okay.
No, I mean,
if it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Well,
That's
if
cool.
it doesn't work, we can take them. I mean, there's other places where it will work. It's not that big of a deal.
I think it's important to look at where you want to put them. Because if you put them in certain locations, they're going to get used for the wrong things, right? Okay. But I think it's important. I think they'll get used. I have no doubt they'll get used. Yeah. And there's no, like you said, there's no hard feeling.
What's the downside?
There's no downside to it.
If it doesn't work, we take them down.
I don't know if it was subconscious or what, the yellow buckets, but
somebody suggested they would be ugly if they were yellow, which most of our shirts are ugly. That's why we do it. And so nobody would steal them.
No, but if someone did, you'd be able to spot the bucket.
It was, not every idea is a good idea. I admit that, but at least come up with ideas instead of just saying, well, you're a colossal waste of time. Or now, I mean, that's the thing that bugs me.
He ruffled your feathers, didn't he?
Well, because Yeah, I guess there not everything gets under my skin. But
I'm with you, Ed. I have a hard time giving people a hard time who are trying to do something good.
Yeah.
Not like you said, not every idea is a good idea. Not every idea is a great idea. But if you don't, the answer is always no if you don't ask, right? If you don't try to do something. And if it's done in good faith to try to be a benefit to the community and someone wants to bash it, they're just going to bash everything anyway and it doesn't matter.
Right.
Uh-oh.
Something's going on.
Something's going on.
You ran to the bathroom. What'd you do?
It's on fire. No. And now I completely forgot what I was going to say. But when you
put this fire out.
When you start an idea on our Facebook page and you see the people on our page get behind it, then it's hard to stop that momentum from rolling. They loved it. And I thought, well, I mean, this is one of those things where you didn't get 100% approval, but it might work and it might not. That's cool.
Well,
no problem.
You don't know if you don't try.
Are you okay?
No, I feel better now.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, he did get under my skin because he said it's a colossal waste of time. Dude, you didn't donate any money to the whole thing, so it clearly didn't waste your time.
Well, I would have asked them what their idea was.
Yeah,
what is your idea to help keep the beach clean?
Yeah.
I mean,
That's the thing.
there's
If
no such thing as
you
bad idea.
don't have, if you're going to complain about something, then at least offer a solution.
Right.
And the reason I started that whole thing was because I was doing a walk around on the beach and I saw a lady had a bag. She was carrying around a bag. And I thought, well, these people on the beach, every time they go out on the beach, all they do is clean up. They have this mission where they just are constantly cleaning up. Now, some of the garbage
Very rarely
washes.
do you see people walking out onto the beach that aren't bringing a bag
Right.
or bringing back trash.
Right.
I mean, they're going out there, they're bringing back with them.
And they love it.
Most people are doing
They love doing it.
Right.
because they enjoy the beach.
Yes.
They enjoy having a clean place to go, let their kids play in the sand, have fun. That's what the whole beach is about.
And so
That's what
when
we're all here
Jason
for.
said that they do that on Sanibel, I thought, hey, we'll just give it a shot. And the people on Facebook might think it's a dumb idea, but they didn't. So whatever.
Somebody's
whatever.
asking about the trash cans. Are there trash cans at all the beach accesses? Some of them, none of them.
There are garbage cans out at the beach access. I don't know if they're at every single one. Some of the ones that still had the scouring that we're filling in, that you see that sand coming north from the south end, as those get filled back in, they'll get put back to normal, if you will. So I don't think every beach access has them, but any beach access that has been filled in, I could check and get back with you on that. But I know Public Works, when they can get a trash can out there, they're getting it out there.
It's less they have to pick up.
Well, it's you get in a routine in the morning. You see the guys going by with those dump trucks, and they're picking up all the trash,
they're
and
using the grabbers
going by. Well, yeah, and if you bring it to the garbage can, staff will go by and they will pick it up and they will take it away and dispose of it the right way.
What keeps you up at night?
What keeps
Does anything keep you up?
Dear, here you go again.
Oh,
I asked a great question.
I
asked a great question.
I think you can ask my wife that. I'm up.
Do your wife keeps you up at night?
No, usually between 1 and 3 o'clock in the morning. I can't sleep, so I'm up doing things and just trying to. Yeah, everything keeps me up at night.
Pick something. The most frustrating thing, or the thing that you want to get done the most. Not frustrating. The thing you want to shut up.
Well, I don't think there's really one thing. It's just kind of a whole. The town part of it's one side. Obviously our business is another side, and then our house is another. So there's not just one thing. It's like anybody else. Everybody else is dealing with the same issues, and you think about. I don't know how everybody else is, but once I wake up and I've got something in my head, I'm not going back to sleep. I just until I can try to figure it out.
Meditation.
Yeah, well, I know.
Focus on your breathing, Dan. Focus on your breathing.
What is your grade for the town manager at this point?
He's got his communication's gotten much better. I know last time I said I gave him a grade probably lower than I should have, but it starts with me. If I have an issue with someone maybe not telling me everything that I want to know, then I need to tell them that. So I think he's gotten much better. I'd give him a solid A. He and Frankie are working their tails off. It's a big undertaking, and the fact that Andy came in and even applied for this job, tells you on. And I can tell you, he is genuinely a great guy who really wants to see this town succeed, and
100%.
he wants to be part of. You think about, we're building back this. 20 years from now, people are going to look back, or 10 years from now, people are going to look back. So there's not a person on the staff from Andy down, and there's not a council member that doesn't want to be on the right side of that story. We don't want to be the ones known for it turned into a dump or it didn't come back, or so we want to do everything that we can do to make sure. And it starts with Andy. Andy he's putting a great staff behind him. I know he's still making tweaks here and there and bringing people in to do things, and he's a very good he believes, and I'm the same way. You give someone a task, you hire someone to do a job, You let them do their
Yeah.
job. I'm not here to micromanage.
If they can't do it, then you let them
If you
go.
can't do it, then you find someone else. And I think Andy's belief is that is he gives people a task and they go do it or they don't,
Yeah.
and then you correct it and you fix it. But if you hire someone, if you believe in someone to give them that position, you need to let them do that position.
Right.
What is your grade for the town attorneys?
They're A as well. They're
Okay.
they're excellent. I mean, they are a breath of fresh air. They answer the phone when you call. They get back to you. They give you. I mean, it's just very clean, concise. What North used to take 20 minutes to get an answer takes 3 minutes.
Yes.
Now it's yes, you can do that. No, you can't. I just had a question for Nancy the other day about something, and she's like, "Well, thank you for the softball. That took 2 minutes."
Yeah.
That was an easy
Yeah.
one. You know?
Crazy how things change when you make a change like that, and it becomes so much easier. You never thought it was going to be easier like that with both positions.
Well, and you don't know what you don't know. You know,
Yeah.
most
Right,
of us,
right.
you know, this was our first working with the previous town manager and town attorney. And, you know, I believe, again, you hire someone, you hire an attorney, their job is to give you legal advice. Who am I to question they're the legal, that's their expertise. They give me advice. I'm going to follow their advice because that's who we've hired to do the job.
Right.
If it's not right or it's not the best advice, then you have to make a change.
Last time you were on the show, you gave the vice mayor an F. You want to improve on that grade, or?
Well, that's so not true.
Yeah, you know, we'll go to a solid D- now.
Would you say that
What
you're?
about as a pickleball?
Are you better
partner?
pickleball?
That's why I went up.
Are you a better pickleball player than he is?
I would say we're equal. I would say that.
God, what a lame answer
No,
that
I'll tell you why.
Come on.
I'll tell you why. Jim is exceptional at like research and knowing this is how it, you know, he did a lot of research
On pickleball?
on pickleball. Well, so did you. You were watching YouTube.
I watched one YouTube video,
You
so
know-
I didn't know. So I thought I knew the rules, but I
thought
clearly
Jim was
didn't.
a pickleball player, though.
I don't know that Jim has ever played before. He and
He's
I
a
played
tennis
that
player,
one
so
time.
he-
Yeah, but it's totally
yeah,
different. I
totally
don't play
tennis
tennis,
player.
but I've talked to 2 tennis players and they said it's completely different. Everything's
Yeah.
completely different
Yeah.
than pickleball. But no, you know, Jim, he does an excellent job at everything he does. He's just
Yep.
Yeah.
he's a
Class act.
well, and he
Yes.
says it himself. Just like I truly believe everybody that's on the council.
It's a great council right
They
now.
are true public servants. They
So
are.
nobody
they're
should
here
think
for that.
about running for those. Yes, right. Thank you. Nobody should think about running. Well, we have to because Scott's not going to run. Do you think he'll change his mind now that he's?
That's a question for Scott. I don't know.
What do you think? You could tell us.
I-
Nobody
honestly,
watches our
I
show.
honestly have no idea.
I see.
Scott's on council now, so we don't.
I see. You're not allowed to talk to each
Yeah.
other. There's Ron Fleming.
Oh, we could talk.
Does he have
but
the
we
dog? Yes, he has the dog on his bike.
just- Rocco.
Yeah. Anything that we missed that you want your people to know?
Yeah,
Because these are your people, Dan.
I have a great little update I noticed on the way up here. I was seeing right around the Hibiscus area that they were starting to put up crosswalk signs on Estero Boulevard.
yay.
Oh, cool.
Now I don't know. I saw 3 for sure. I don't know if they're still out there doing it. I know Andy. I told Andy about it. He was going to go out and take a look around and see if they're doing it. But it
So
was
that's
on
Lee
the-
County. Is get it
Yeah,
to work
I
down
would
here.
assume they
Sweet.
were working for Lee County because it looked like there were 3 brand new signs that had been put up right around the Hibiscus area.
Yeah.
They were working on the northbound side.
Nice.
I only saw one guy, so I don't know if there was another guy in the back of the truck or what.
So
but
speaking of Hibiscus, if you haven't been to Hibiscus yet, you should take a ride down there when there's not so much traffic. They put the pagodas back up on the corner,
Yeah.
on the 2 corners. And the pagodas on Hibiscus were first built in 1959, and they were destroyed by the storm. And I know Jackie and Scott paid for one, and the HOA paid for the other one, and they painted them red, and they're really cool. And so that they're trying to get them designated as historical landmarks on Fort Myers Beach, but there isn't a historical committee right now, so we kind of have to get that back together if that's going to be considered. But that's pretty cool to see something
yeah,
like
that's
that put
sad to
back
think
up.
about that. Well, almost
I
all the
know.
historical things are gone. You know?
Yeah.
It's just-
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta end the show on a downer like that,
No,
right, Dan?
Dan.
Holy
No, but
Christmas!
you know what?
There will be new
Well,
things
exactly.
to enter
With-
into
with-
the history books.
you know, with everything bad, something new comes, and
It
and-
seems like the first growth on the island, commercial-wise, is going to be all the 7-Elevens because the 7-Elevens are all coming before the LPA
You know,
and the
the-
town council.
Yeah, 2 of them have been approved.
Yeah.
I think that they have the second hearing that comes up on April 1st for the one.
And to be honest with you, the 7-Elevens are going to look so much nicer because they were pretty ugly.
They
We've
were
got
rough.
an ugly one in our neighborhood, so they're
They were
really going to
rough.
look nice.
Well, it's funny when I hadn't seen a 7-Eleven until I moved down here in 2012. They kind of went away in Minneapolis, St. Paul area. I mean, you would find
Wawa? Did Wawa
no,
replace
there was
it?
like SA's, What was that? Quick Trips are big up there. Quick Trips are kind of like the road, the raceways down here. They're just, they're
Cumberland Farms. Yeah.
I'm glad they're going to modernize the 7-Elevens, but I can't believe no offense to the local 7-Elevens. I can't believe they're still in business. I mean, some of the old ones.
Slurpees.
Oh, come on. Some of the older ones are so nasty. When you go into a Wawa or you go into a racetrack, I mean, you feel like you can actually use their bathrooms because they're nice and clean. And then you go to a 7-Eleven, it's like, hey, how about you modernize these? Get with the program.
I have not been in a lot of Wawas. I think the first one I went into was up in the Villages when we were up visiting Megan's mom. And I got to be honest, I'm used to walking into like a racetrack and right in front of you is the cashiers, right? And then things are on either side. Yeah. So I walked up to this thing that I thought
you had to order food.
And they're like, what can we get you? I'm like, well, I just want to check out. They're like, yeah, we don't do that here. I'm like, well and it's over in the corner.
Yeah.
I was.
So do you plan on retiring and living in the Villages when you get older? Megan's like, no.
Megan and I joke about this all the time, but it's more than likely going to be true. The very last words you're ever going to hear come out of my mouth are "Welcome to Walmart. May I help you?" I'm going to go out sideways, Ed. If I'm going to go out sideways. I don't know that I'll ever be retired.
Well, thank you for coming on. It's been an hour. Big hand for the mayor of Fort Myers Beach, everybody.
See you in 2 weeks.
2 weeks. That's right. No show next week.
No show.
Because we have Easter Sunday.
Yeah, and remind them of the Easter service.
Annie Meehan is going to have an Easter service, everybody, at Newton Park. So if you're going to go to the East, bring your lawn chairs, park at Publix. That's not me saying that. That's her saying that. I have no idea if she has the authority to say park at Publix, but that's what she told me. Folks, before you bust out of here, please listen to these very important announcements, because if it wasn't for these folks, what are you saying over there? We wouldn't be able to do this show. We appreciate your coffees. We appreciate those of you that advertise on our newsletter. And we appreciate folks like Dorston Claims, because the insurance companies are still out there just waiting they have your face on a voodoo doll, and they're sticking a pin in your face of the voodoo doll because they want you to die without money. That's what they want. But if you don't want to die without money, you can call Dorston Claims, because Mark will go after these SOBs. And he will not charge you until after the fact, until after he gets you money. And that's what you want. You want somebody to go like a bulldog with their face planted in the glass, going after these derelict insurance companies that should be perp walked into the Marcino Motel. Speaking of the Marcino Motel, I did talk with the Sheriff's Department last week, and in the next few weeks or so, Sheriff Marcino is going to be on the show. So that's going to be a standing room only kind of thing, because we've never had the sheriff on the show. So he is going to come on the show. It's probably going to be a Saturday show at Margaritaville. But when his team gets back tomorrow or next week, we're going to set that time up. We'll let you know when that is. But I didn't lose my place, because Mark Dorston is the man you need to call if you want to get money from the insurance company. He's sitting in his trailer right now, because he has that kind of vehicle. 850-276-7326. 850-276-7326. And we thank Dorston Claims for being a sponsor of the show. And our final sponsor of the day is Marketing 101. Is it time to take your marketing to the next level? If you want to take your marketing like I want to take my marketing to the next level, because we don't want to be dinky anymore. We want to be big and bad, like the big bad government, then you want to call the folks at Marketing 101 Advertising. Looking for cost-effective ways to mobilize your customer and drive home results? You give them a call right now. Give Janet a call on her cell phone at 216-496-4888. She's sitting in her car right now waiting for you to call. That's Janet at 101 Marketing. Marketing 101 Advertising. Give me that number again, Ed. Oh, you got it. 216-496-4888. Thank you all for coming to Wahoo Willie's. Thank you all for your help at Times Square. Yeah, and we will see you next Saturday. We're taking Monday off, everybody. Bye-bye.